think I'm ready. My room's normally like the tundra, like maybe like 16 degrees. It's freezing, and like it gets, my hands are like numb when I touch my phone. But right now I'm like, I've been dancing around the whole day, and I'm working up a sweat. It is warm in this bitch, man. It's normally freezing. I'm like, ooh. Anyway. Okay, guys, this week I redid my room, which is pretty exciting. So I'm just gonna show you real quick, okay? Okay, room tour, here we go. Welcome to my crib. Walking in. Okay, so, oh, there's a table on my bed. I hate when that happens. Don't you just hate when there's a table on your bed? We got bed. Before, my bed was like in this corner over here and it was just on the floor, which is fine, and like all this space was open. So my room is less open now, but I kind of like that little like office vibe over there. You feel me? My light's a little bright, but you know, it's a nice little like corner cozy vibe. And then there's that it keeps falling, so we're just gonna let it hang like that. You know, it's fine. We don't mind a droopy light. But then over there is just like a little altar set up. I have books and like my decks and extra candles and stuff there. These are all extra stuff and just like stuff that makes me feel happy. And then the top is like crystals and candles. I have a Mac poster, cage, tarot sign. There's a little like painting of Cuba that I thrifted. And then just these 1-track records that I put up. We got the magical forest going. This dresser is huge, so it's whatever. And I may or may not have 2 bins of clothes hiding in my bathroom that I'm trying to sort through, but it's fine too, you know? Sometimes you just gotta like, you know, tuck it away and just, you know, worry about it another time. Which is, it's fine. We're here. We out here. Look how cool this light looks. Oh my gosh. Anyway, what is up, people? How are we doing today? I hope you're all well. I hope you're all amazing. Today I wanted to talk about kind of this whole idea of a spiritual awakening and how you know you're going through one, what it is, and how to help yourself get through one. So essentially an awakening is kind of coming to terms with like kind of detaching from our ego and kind of taking a side seat in our, you know, in our vehicle, in our body, and kind of realizing that we do have a higher self. You know, there is a soul, something propelling us forward, something that we kind of speak from our soul a lot of the time, and sometimes we don't. Sometimes it's from our ego, which is kind of like these barriers and faces we put on to show ourselves to the world. I'm gonna move a little bit closer, you know, make it a little bit more cozy. So how I envision it kind of is like it could be really groundbreaking, or you could be going through something a little bit more subtle. A lot of people will go through multiple awakenings in their life, and it's kind of a period where you're learning a lot of lessons and you're learning about yourself and how you view the world. It's kind of like more, okay, let me connect back to myself, let me connect back to nature and the people around me. So as I was kind of thinking of this video and how I would describe an awakening, I was envisioning a path. So we're all walking on a path. This is so typical, but imagine you see something really amazing, you know, on your path. You see it, but it's in the distance. It could be like a castle that you want to explore, or some sort of like blow up fun house. You know, it could be something that just grabs your attention and you're like, I want to be there, but it looks so far away, I probably can't make it there. Well, you won't make it there if you don't take the steps towards that place, you know? So it's like most of the time we just continue on our path and we look around, we see what drives us, what makes us excited. But it's about following that excitement and tapping into what really drives our soul in this world. You know, what are we here to do? How can we find ourselves amidst the chaos, amidst like the system that we're in? So when I went, one of the first ways that I noticed I was going through an awakening, and this kind of happened probably 2 years ago, when I was just like leaving my senior year of high school. I kind of felt like this feeling like, oh, my life is a movie. Okay, so like that's a very relatable feeling. Some people, you know, if something crazy in your life happens, you're like, oh, this really feels like a movie right now. But I kind of took a step back and was like, okay, I'm the main character in my movie. You know, this is my life. I'm behind the wheel. I'm the main character in this movie. But you can kind of sit back and watch how your character reacts, watch the habits that you're stuck in. You know, you can kind of like take a more objective view and not take things so personally. So at first I was just like dissociating a lot. It was kind of like a weird like feeling. I was kind of like, everything around me doesn't seem the same anymore. You know, it's kind of like one of those things, when you see it, you can't unsee it. And I did get a question about like, how did I know that I was a channeler? So I just want to clear this up really quick because it kind of goes along with it, but just the idea that when you see something and you can't unsee it, how do you move forward with that? So when I realized that I had gifts, they kind of came in at full force all at once and then dissipated a little bit. So it showed me my potential and then kind of backed off and was like, you need to work to get to this point to be able to carry these messages and come from like a grounded and stable point of view. So I went along with that. I started from square one again and worked to build up my skills rather than just like having them overpower me and not know how to use them. So yeah, like I saw what was there for me, and if I looked away, my life would be boring. It wouldn't be fun, you know. I love doing this. I love talking about these types of things and sharing messages and making more connections with humans who, you know, with all humans, you know, whatever. Make connections with everything. That's my brain works in connections, so it was just fitting. But anyway, back to we're on this path here. So you might feel like, oh, you can never make it to that point, but honestly, we're the only people who stand in our own way. You know, it's that doubt we put on ourselves, that fear of not being able to get there, that fear of not making it. And what awakenings teach you to do is to surrender to that fear. You know, every time you feel like you can't do something or you have a big roadblock in your life, it could lead to a lot of doubt and fear of not getting to where you want to go. But every time you feel those feelings come up and you're in a state where you're not taking everything on fully emotionally, you know, you can kind of take a more view from afar. You can take a view from afar and look at your life and look at the decisions you're making and see what serves you and what doesn't. Okay, so one thing, awakenings can be very bumpy. You know, they can be beautiful. You know, you can realize amazing things and it can really propel your life forward into a new direction. But also, if the foundation beneath us isn't stable, it will crumble. And that will be a kind of a big turning point when you realize you're in an awakening. It's like everything in front of you kind of like the ground crumbles beneath you and you're like, oh my gosh, how do I build this back up? So it could be like a relationship falling apart, or being like a job falling through or being fired, or it could be you unexpectedly have to do something, or something kind of negative kind of takes over for a minute and it's like, let's see how you react to this. So it's all kind of a test to see how far you'll go, how far you'll push yourself through all the bad. And sometimes we can get stuck in these ruts, which is perfectly fine. We just need to find what drives us forward again and maybe come back in touch with ourselves. A really good thing to have for yourself, just in life in general, is finding a place within yourself that you feel most comfortable. So throughout all the ups and downs, like, you need to find a home within yourself that you feel like you can always go to, and you return home. You know, when you feel like, oh my gosh, this outer world is really throwing me for a loop right now, it's like, okay, hit the return home button. That should be a trigger. And when I mean home, what I like to do to return to my home, I'll just take you through the process so that you can kind of get a scope into how it would work for you. So I like to go into a little meditation, and as I breathe in, I picture myself starting right where I am, and I picture myself in this little cage thing. It's not really restricting me, it's just kind of like my elevator. And as I breathe in, I just fill up with peace and light and goodness. You know, I try to fill my breath with thoughts that I want to be surrounded with. And as I breathe out, I picture this cage in my mind, my third eye, just going deeper and deeper towards the core of the earth. And then as you breathe in, positive, down, you're being pushed down into the core of the earth, deeper and deeper and deeper, until you reach the core. So you keep breathing until you feel like, yep, now I'm at the core of the earth, you know. But it's, you know, you're just imagining it. So so you keep going down and down, and at the core of the earth is your home, any place that really brings you pure bliss. So for me, like, it could literally be anywhere. Maybe in nature, maybe you're on top of a mountain and you're alone and you're watching the sunset, you know. Or maybe, I mean, my place is a little beach, a tiny little private beach, and it's like there's a whole garden around it, and there's a little hammock on the beach, and the water is so still, it's like glassy. And then this place is where I go to receive a lot of guidance and information. I go to this place and I'll just sit with that feeling. And sometimes I'll ask my spirit guides to walk forward. And that's how you get in touch with your spirit guides. It's through internal. A lot of people aren't really willing to do the internal work, because meditating, it can feel like why do I need to do this every day? You know, why do people say you should meditate? Why do I keep feeling the need to meditate, or whatever it may be? Meditation actually brings you to a place where it's kind of like a loading screen. So in this loading screen, you can see, even on your first meditation, how busy your mind is, how much is actually crowding your mind, and how much is crowding your space, and how it's affecting you. Just by slowing down your breath, focusing on your breathing, and seeing how many thoughts are going through your head. Just surrender to the thoughts. You don't have to claim them. You can just watch them float by. And that's a lot of people get caught up and they have trouble meditating because they see all these thoughts and then they get taken with them, you know, and then all of a sudden they're thinking about they're on the thought train and they keep going, you know, but they're still, and it's they're like, why can't I find peace? But it's because you keep jumping on the train. You keep jumping on these thought trains, but instead if you just watch them all go by, soon enough you would get complete clarity of your mind. And the more you practice, the easier it gets. But that was just my little tangent on meditation and finding your inner home. So that was just a little, Spark Notes version of it. I'm hoping to do more meditation, actually meditation videos in the future. But anyway, back to awakening. So one of the biggest things an awakening does is it teaches you to surrender to your environment. You know, you might realize things that bothered you before are not bothering you anymore. They might seem superficial. So if you get really caught up in other people's emotions or things that aren't going right, or just irritated by little things, you might start realizing the more you kind of tap into this awakening energy, this pushing you forward into a new direction, you might realize that there are a lot of things not serving you. And as you go forward, it can kind of feel like crumbling, you know, you feel vulnerable. It's kind of like going from being a senior, being comfortable in where you're at. You know, when you're a senior, it's like you own that bitch, you know, and then you go back to being a freshman and you're like, oh my god, like, where am I? You know, you have to find yourself again. So it's kind of just like a constant cycle of getting to a point where you're comfortable and then flipping that next, you know, going on to the next chapter and feeling like vulnerable again and feeling kind of lost. But you can, you know, that's also really exciting because the world is open. You get to pick where you want to go. You know, you want to go to that castle bouncy house, you'll make it there. You know, you just have to walk that direction and keep walking. So the biggest lesson I feel like of awakenings is just surrendering to your circumstances, seeing where you're naturally pulled to. Like, is this serving me right now? Is this person serving me? Is this job serving me? Is this hobby serving me? Or did I lose sight of the end goal? You know, so you kind of have to always keep the end goal in mind, but believe you can get to the end goal. You know, there's no point of setting goals if you don't think you can make it in the first place. Yeah, so if you're working against the power of your natural flow, so if you're doing something that like you're resistant to, you're procrastinating on, you're not doing, you know, you're not giving your best work, you don't feel proud of yourself for doing the work, then that's a sign you might not be in your right area. You know, you have to switch it up. You have to find something that pulls you, that drives you forward. As I said, surrendering, you might have to leave a lot behind, which can be really uncomfortable, you know, because you're kind of lingering in the doorway here between an old self and a new self that you're trying to transform into. Kind of like a glow up, but you can't glow up fully if you're lingering in the doorway. If you're, you know, you're still holding on to things in your past that are kind of preventing you from being this person over here who you really want to be. You know, you're striving to glow up, you're striving to be successful and do what you want to do, but you're still holding on to things over here. So this is kind of like a lingering in the doorway type feel. You might feel pushed through the door. You might be like, oh, yep, leaving that behind. Here I am. Sorry for saying so much. It's just, there's a lot going on. Just forgive me, please. Forgive me. Oh yeah, so if you don't, some people are like, I don't know where I even want to go. You know, what drives me? I have no idea. I still need to find my passion. And that's fine. That is so exciting. That gives you more time to adventure and explore and find that. And you will find that as long as you want to find that. You know, if you're like, oh, I'm really looking for something that like lights my soul up, like something that I can make money from and really enjoy doing, and you know, I would just really be so happy if I got there. Visualize yourself in that flow. What are you doing? How are you acting? Like, and then just kind of narrow down your choices into like, okay, what would make me feel this way? How do I want to feel? What would make me feel that way? Asking yourself more questions is a big one. Like, where am I going? What am I doing? You know, check in with yourself constantly. Making sure that, you know, you've set an end goal, or you've set a goal. You know, you set where you want to be, you know where you want to go, and you're working towards that. Sometimes awakenings will put us at like the bottom, you know, they'll kind of be like, okay, you're gonna reach rock bottom right now, and your lesson right here is to learn how you can get out of that. So I've been there, you know, for months, and it's like, how do I get out of this? I feel like every day is the same. I wake up and I just feel like heaviness. I feel like I don't know what I'm doing, and kind of just putting things off that I know I have to do. So the higher self is always suggesting things that we should do, and the more we ignore that voice, the more we're coming out of tune with our natural flow. So it's like, I should exercise, I should eat good, I should stop ordering food, like those kinds of things. Like, you know, the higher self is constantly trying to discipline ourselves, and if we take that advice, great, you know, we'll be working towards our highest potential. And the more we don't listen to ourselves, the more we kind of dig ourselves in this little hole here. So I know it's hard getting, you know, forming new habits that you're not used to, and like trying to completely like change your life, you know, just one step at a time. Slow down, you know, you have all the time in the world. And that's a big area that I struggle with, because I kind of like to set timelines for myself and be like, I want this done before this. And when it doesn't work out, it makes me like stressed out, and I realize that I just need to surrender to the flow, surrender to divine timing, because divine timing is real and it's crazy. And it's not crazy, it's just, it will blow your mind, like the way opportunities line up for you in your life. You might start experiencing a lot of signs and synchronicities. So if you have a number that you really love, you might keep seeing it over and over, or like something that catches your eye. It could also be a symbol, an animal, a person saying a certain word, a song saying a lyric that was in your mind before, you know, just like those coincidences that build and build and build to the point where they no longer seem like coincidences anymore. It's like, okay, the amount of things that are happening in my life right now that are kind of aligned and connected to each other, kind of insane, you know? So you kind of just have to evaluate those connections. And that's how you form a relationship with the universe and with your guides, is by noticing the synchronicities, trying to decode them, or just, you know, paying attention to the divine and making its way into your life, because it's real and it's here to help. It's really here to help you. Yeah, so as you start to open your eyes to these signs and synchronicities and the flow of your life and your inner self, the universe will start to reveal itself to you more and more. So these signs and synchronicities are just like the tip of the iceberg. They're like, hey, don't forget, like, there's a higher power that's trying to help you right here. And the more you're like, oh, I see that, that's ooh, you know, ooh, that number again, ooh, you know, the more you're like, the more it'll be like, oh, let me trickle back into your life a little bit more. And like your life can truly become magical with all the signs and synchronicities, and even more than that, the major opportunities that come into your life, the timing of everything. You'll start seeing like there is connections in everything. Everything. Your brain is way more powerful than you think. So you set intentions for where you want to go. You'll get there if you put in the work, you know. You know, manifesting, visualizing. Me visualizing my hair coming back. No. Ooh, I'm a sassy bitch. I take it back. But yeah, this connection, and through these ups and downs of going through an awakening, you really build your inner strength. You build that within you. It's like, I can get through anything. I just went through all these ups and downs, and look at me, I'm still standing, you know. You really build your inner strength, and that's how, you know, being at the bottom, you don't have to stay there, you know. Find that inner strength within you. Be like, how can I pull myself out of this? Even if it's one thing per day, just doing one thing per day that makes you happy, and then forming like a new routine based off these little things that build joy in your life, you know. Oh yeah, so with the idea of like multiple awakenings, sometimes I realize that I'll learn a lesson the first time and I'll be like, wow, you know, this was kind of groundbreaking. And then I'll get through another awakening and I'll be like, the same lesson's coming back, but I'm learning it on deeper levels. So it's kind of just like a cycle of really deep learning and healing and inner growth, which is so exciting because it leads to you blossoming in the external world. The more you work through the internal, the more you build a connection with yourself, your higher self, you in general, finding out more about yourself, what drives you, what sparks you, where do you want to be, who do you want to be, how do you want to show up. The more you connect to this part of you, the more amazing things will happen in your life. So awakening doesn't have to be like this spiritual, like enlightened, like nirvana state. It's kind of just becoming aware of your soul, learning your soul, and tapping into the universe, to nature, to other humans, realizing that we're all connected in way more ways than one. And the more you go through, the more you realize that other people are going through things just like you, and even different, worse, better, whatever it is. So you have more compassion for other humans by going through these struggles, you know? And then you'll have experiences to relate to other people more. You'll have experiences where you feel connected, you know? Oh, so as I was thinking of ideas for the video last week, for this video, I was like, oh, I think I'm gonna do signs of awakening, because those really shook me. You know, those, when I went through awakenings, it kind of shook me to my core, and I didn't really know what was happening. I had to figure it out on my own. So it was funny because the universe, the way that it works, the way that the universe works is crazy. But anyway, so I was brainstorming ideas. I was like, okay, what kinds of things did I go through when I was going through these like transformational periods, awakenings? And then throughout the entire week, the universe just sprinkled little symptoms and signs of awakenings in my life. So I started doubting myself so much, just like on this channel and in general. I'm like, these people don't want to hear what I have to say. I'm not worthy. I shouldn't, you know. But these thoughts just eat me alive, and I had to be like, okay, no, you know. I had to deny these thoughts of inadequacy that kept coming up, and just being like, I have to do it for the people who didn't know, for the people who don't. I have to do it for people like me who wouldn't know that they were going through an awakening, or need help and need that guidance, but don't have anyone to talk to about it. You know, I kind of want to be here to share my experience, because I know some people out there are going through awakenings. I see you, you know, I see you guys. You guys are going through it. And I want to be a person. I want to be a supportive person in their process, and in my process help. I don't know what I'm saying right now, but anyway. Oh, but yeah, so a lot of awakening symptoms have crawled into my life this week, just so I can tell you about them, which is fun, but also I really went through it. So feelings of doubt, which I already kind of went over. Major life events crumbling. I had a relationship crumble beneath my feet. And then it kind of evolved. It evolved into something different than it was before, which is nice, you know? So it doesn't always have to be like, oh, it's crumbling and I have no way forward, I don't see a way, you know? It can just change and you keep going. There was a day where I just had really intense migraines. I felt like I needed to rest. I felt like I was just moving too fast. I was trying to get too much done in a day, and it was just like, slow down, Alicia, goddamn. Like, yeah, horrible migraines that day. So I remember that being something very telling of a transition period. What else happened this week? My camera just randomly turned off. But anyway, I was saying, sometimes you just have to clear some things that aren't serving you in order to make room for things that are new and exciting and part of your journey. Okay, so some things to assist you when you're going through this weird transition phase in your life or an awakening. It's important to meditate. It's important to find that place where you feel secure, so you're not constantly trying to find happiness in external places. Like during the pandemic, I was going through it, and I constantly was like, I don't feel good being on my own. I don't feel I don't feel free being at home with my family, and I'm just going back and forth being like, I don't know where I want to be, nowhere feels good, I don't know what to do. And so I kind of had to like deep dive within myself and be like, I'm solid no matter where I go, you know. And that feeling of inner strength kind of powering through makes it okay to be, you know, it's like, oh, I can get through anything now, you know. It's kind of like, yeah, like boost. Yeah, so meditating can kind of help you find that that even ground where it's just calm and peaceful, that place where you can return to when things do get chaotic in your life, and bring you, you know, the internal feelings can really transform your external reality. So another thing is being in nature. You know, being in nature, you know, kind of refreshes the mind. Everyone needs fresh air. I personally feel super cleansed whenever I jump in water, so like a lake or like a waterfall or the ocean especially. Like I always feel just like renewed. I feel like a new gal. I'm like, ooh, ooh, I feel Mother Nature in me. Anyway, everyone needs some of that. Gratitude, being thankful for things that you have. Oh my gosh, just being thankful for every moment. And that really brings us to the present, you know, because spiritual awakening is freeing ourselves from being too attached to the past or being too attached to the future, and just focusing on the here and the now. So giving gratitude. What do I have right here in front of me? I'm so grateful to be able to talk to you guys from this room that I created for myself. I'm so grateful that all of you guys are watching. I'm so grateful to be warm, be covered by a roof, have food, have water. I'm so grateful. So it's the simple things, you know. I'm grateful to feel healthy. I'm grateful to be breathing. I'm grateful to be here on earth. Giving gratitude for the smallest things in life, or things that seem small, and even the bigger things in life can bring so much more to be grateful for. The more you are grateful, the more you will have more to be grateful for. Another thing, be playful, laugh, dance, be around people who give you that good energy. Be around people who inspire you to create, to be who you want to be. You don't have to hold back. You don't have to impress them or anything like that. You know, you can be free and fun and dance and connect and laugh and love, you know. More of that. More of that. And also slow down. This isn't a race. We just strutting on our path. We just strutting on our path. We don't need to race. Yeah. I'm sorry. But yeah, slow down. Enjoy every little moment. You know, the more you slow down and take gratitude and breathe and be in nature, the more you'll feel like you feel at home. You feel like, wow, there is a lot to be thankful for. Wow, I am happy here. I can find a place for myself in this world, which is really exciting. So I hope you guys liked this video. I hope some of this resonated with you. As always, if it resonates with you, hold on to that, you know, take that in, process it. If it doesn't, leave it. Leave it. I also wanted to share a song, because as I was going through this, I'm like, oh, there's got to be a good song out there that kind of describes what I'm going through. And I just randomly clicked on this song and I was like, yes. It's called Telephone Poles by D.L.G. Beautiful song, but it's kind of like that road that I was talking about, the path. And this artist does a really good job at like expressing that creatively. And the song's really funky and groovy, and I feel like something everyone can get down to. So go listen to that song if you feel inclined. It was really fun chatting. Love you guys so much. Okay, I think that's all. Thanks for coming. It was really fun. Loved having you guys here. I'm excited for for what's coming. I'm excited for it all. I'm excited about my life. I hope you guys are excited about your life. I'm excited to have you here. I'm just feeling good. What did I want to say? Oh, like and subscribe if you liked this video. If you want to see more, comment if you have anything you want to see from me or hear from me, or questions you have or anything like that. I'd love to answer your questions. I'd love to connect with you guys. If you resonated with my personality, I don't know, maybe you're like, fuck that girl, I don't know. But if you enjoyed being here, you know, I love that for you. Like, subscribe, reach out. Sending you warm hugs. Okay? Sending you warm hugs. Oh wait, maybe I'll bring it over here. Goodbye, y'all.